when you now are taking Juan and Maria, the innocent grape picker or babysitter or construction worker or meat packer or poultry processor, and that's who you're aiming at. People long-term, no problems, law-abiding, God-fearing, family-oriented. If you aim at them, people are going to be mad at you. And it's not just going to be political activists. It's going to be this could be the beginning of a whole new civil rights movement. This could be like the March on Washington, and I'm not exaggerating when I say how upset. In Los Angeles, Laura, a town you know so well, 10% of the entire population of L.A. County is undocumented. 10%. Oh, now you're going to start raiding, you're going to gut out the very soul of that community if you continue in such an undisciplined way. And wearing masks. Why is ICE wearing masks?
A lot of questions about that.
Sheriffs don't wear masks.
Right.
Cops don't wear masks. Judges don't wear masks. Court officers don't wear masks. Why is it that ICE, FBI doesn't wear masks? Why is ICE masked? Well, what are they afraid of? How honorable can their work be if it has to be performed masked?
Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. Let's talk a little bit about a University of Alabama professor, Joyce Vance, who finds herself on MSNBC regularly vomiting up ridiculous legal theories and other stupid things because she's a left-wing political hack. And there's nothing wrong with being a left-wing political hack. Some would say I am a right-wing political hack. And fine, we can agree on those fronts. But here's what we can't agree on. Joyce Vance, as someone who is teaching future lawyers, should not be basically inciting violence against ICE officers, but that is exactly what she is doing. Listen to this imbecile on MSNBC.
But you know what I've never seen a federal agent working a case do is pull a mask up so nobody knows who they are and go out and terrorize a civilian population. And I think it's important for us at this point to be very plain speaking when we say that this is not normal, it's not acceptable, and it's a danger sign. You know, we are well past the point where we can just identify danger signs and say, oh, there might be problems down the road. The problems are here, they're in the right now. And as we see people being pulled off the streets, you know, the danger to law enforcement, quite frankly, is that when you're masked like that and people don't know who you are, someone might exercise their lawful right of self-defense to protect themselves, thinking they're being kidnapped. So the notion that this is for law enforcement's protection is utterly ludicrous, and we need to do away with that.
So we've continued to buy into this mask thing. The masks are the problem, just like the cops are the problem. We got to defund the police. If we didn't have any police, well, we wouldn't have any crime. You see, if we just defund the police, we won't have these problems. This is the idea they're actually trying to sell you with the masks, too. If you didn't wear the masks, we wouldn't have these issues. No, they just don't want you to be able to carry out ICE raids, so they think that if they threaten your family, you won't be able to do it. That's not me saying that. That's Tom Homan, the guy who's in charge of all of this. Listen to him. He calls out a political journalist and just drops a bomb on her.
I think one of the things that's had a lot of folks up in arms is that ICE agents, unlike other law enforcement, have been masked to protect their identities. That's not something that we've really had on this scale in this country. Do you?
Well, we never had the scale of attacks on ICE. We have now up 700% attacks on ICE. Doxing against ICE agents.
Well, you've had increased attacks on police officers as well in the wake of the defund the police movement too, but they haven't put masks on.
You name a police agency that has a 700% increase in assaults. Name one.
I haven't looked at that data. Yeah.
You won't find one. The attacks on ICE is unprecedented, 700% increase, and we're not even talking about the doxing of agents, their spouses, and their children. So they're wearing masks to help give them some sort of protection. But when the same people that are complaining about ICE wearing masks, have they ever said anything about BLM protesters wearing masks?
Well, I mean, that leads me to the question that, like, do you have concerns that
Let me answer, though. Let me answer.
Yeah, okay.
Have they ever say anything about the mass protesters that became criminals on college campuses that threatened Jewish students and took over buildings, destroyed property? They were all wearing masks. Did anybody pass legislation saying they can't wear a mask during a protest? No. We're talking about law enforcement.
Oh, I think there are a lot of people who are upset about that. But then,
as you've seen any legislation proposed to remove masks from protesters that become criminals, that take over college campus, you haven't. Look at the BLM protesters, how many lives were lost, how much property was stolen. They're all wearing masks. Did anybody propose legislation saying it's illegal to wear a mask in public while you're protesting? No, there isn't. This is attacking ICE officers. The Democrats want to vilify men and women at ICE and border. And I said from day one, when President Trump won office and I came back and said, now the vilification starts, right? Now it's the racist ICE, the racist border patrol for simply enforcing the law to deal with the repercussions of Biden administration's open borders, where millions of criminals and public safety threats were released in this country. So I support ICE wearing masks. They're still wearing insignia. They got an HSI, ERO, or FBI, DEA, but there needs to be some level of protection because the tax is unprecedented. 700%, for God's sake. And what I want to remind people is, I was an ICE agent. These men and women at ICE, they're mothers and fathers too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day and they come to work. They're not the beast. They're enforcing a law. They're trying to make this country safe again, and they're being vilified for it and attacked for it. And we're not going to tolerate it. Zero tolerance on this.
So the reason they're wearing the masks is because people are coming after them and their families. Not because they think people are being kidnapped and disappeared on the streets and all this other nonsense. That's a lie. The only reason that we're seeing all these fights and problems is because people like Joyce Vance continue to promote it and talk about it as if it's virtuous, and argues that it might be in a self-defense way, suggesting that you can get away with fighting cops if they try to detain you if you don't listen to them. If the cop says, I'm from ICE, and you fight them, you don't get to say, well, I didn't know. It doesn't work that way. And Joyce Vance, although a very stupid person with a terrible personality, so she fits in perfectly on MSNBC and as a media darling, as she continues to say these things. Remember, she holds a position at the University of Alabama. And that position is, it's okay to fight cops. That position is, ICE is kidnapping people off the streets. That position is, lawlessness is good. Now, should the University of Alabama continue employing her? Probably not. Are they going to? Absolutely. But the simple fact here is Joyce Vance is wrong on this. And if she's giving these kinds of dumbass opinions on cable news, what is she saying to those kids in the classroom?